I'm Zach. This is the Bipolar Book Club. Today I'm going to briefly talk about my 10 favorite history books. I like history. I'm a casual history enjoyer, by no means an expert, so this list is largely comprised of what would be called pop history and quite a few biographies. You know, I think that while there are some on here that are more sprawling, cover more ground, more history, what I respond to most with history books is when we focus on one subject and typically a person's life. I'm a lot more interested in the who rather than the where or the what. I'm a who kind of person, okay? I like people, I like characters. So this is going to be very brief. We're not going to spend a lot of time on each one, but hopefully you find some cool history books. And I'm also not saying that I have like the most varied interests when it comes to history. There are so many blind spots that I have historically. I think everyone does, unless you're truly interested in the history of the entire world of every single culture. Like I'm just simply not. So there's a lot of stuff within America, within France, within Italy in this list. So, you know, take it or leave it, I guess. But without further ado, I just put this list together. So at number 10 is Italy. And I got to help myself out by organizing the stack of books I have in the corner. But the Medici, a book on on the Medici. I went to Florence. I visited Florence a few years back, and oh my god, I love this. It's probably the most beautiful city I've ever seen in my life. And this name just kept following me around, kept haunting me. The Medici, and I bought this at one of the gift shops at some art museum, and it was fascinating, and it was so cool because like the opening, like the prologue is like really gothic and really intense and kind of bloody, and I'm reading it, and then it says like where all of this carnage and all this treachery and manipulation is taking place, and it's in the exact square where I was. It's like the exact place, and it was such a cool, one of the coolest reading moments of my life, where I was reading it on the bench and went, oh, that happened right here. Holy shit. That's the craziest thing about visiting Europe, was realizing that history is just alive over there in a way that it's not in America and most of the New World, at least from my perspective. Number 10 by Paul Strathern, The Medici. The prose is great. The information is invaluable. I learned so much from this, and the Medici are really fucking cool. It's a really cool family. Number 9 is I think a lot of people have read this book, and it's The Rise and Fall of the Dinosaurs by Steve Brusatte. A new history of their lost world. I like dinosaurs as much as any other millennial who grew up on a steady diet of Jurassic Park films and merch. I love dinosaurs. My favorite dinosaurs are pterosaurs. They're not even dinosaurs, but I like pterosaurs the most. And then the T Rex, of course. And there's a substantial amount of this book dedicated to T Rex. It's just, oh, it's such a fun book to read. It is truly the definition of entry level. Well, I would hope all of these books are kind of close to entry level, because I am as far from an expert on any of these subjects as you can possibly get. So when I say entry level, it's not meant derisively. It's not meant as a jab. I don't need to be an expert on dinosaurs. I just want to know a lot more about them and be familiar with like how cool they are and just how wicked their age was, their lost world truly was. The sights and the sounds of the Triassic, the Jurassic, Cretaceous, it's all here. You can hear it. Steve does such a great job of like transporting you there in a really fun way and a very informative one. Number 8, one of Ron Chernow's doorstopper biographies, Washington. I liked Hamilton too. I read Hamilton as well. I also read Titan, about Rockefeller, the absolute founding father who seems so resolute, so complicated, so conflicted. Chernow paints such an intimate portrait of him, and I didn't know it was possible to do that. I did read this whole thing, and it was yeah, eye-opening, and I really felt like I got to occasionally get up close and personal with, I think, one of the most enigmatic figures, one of the most isolated, at least, one of the most isolated figures in all of American history, George Washington. Ron Chernow is very good at what he does. And I think Washington, so far as what I've read, is his best. Number 7, The Crusades of Thomas Asbridge, The Authoritative History of the War for the Holy Land. I've owned this book for quite a long time, and I've actually read it more than once. I love this narrative. It's very easy, very coherent, full of information, full of like the pathos and the destruction, the pity, the savagery, the virtue as well is all available to interact with here. Like Saladin is so incredible to interact with within this book. Lionheart, oh my god, like every fucking character. The Leprosy King, man, I loved him so much. Baldwin the Fourth, Baldwin, that one. What an amazing character. What an amazing human being. The Crusades have always fascinated me for a very long time, and I recommend this I recommend this book to anyone interested in the subject because it is just so accessible. Every page is a new revelation. It's really good. Love it. Number 6, we got a twofer, and Billie Holiday is one of my favorite individuals on the planet. I think she's the queen misfit. I stand for all misfits forever and always. Junkies, those who struggle with mental health, sex workers, outcasts, losers, nobodies, somebodies. I stand with misfits, and I think that Billie Holiday is the queen misfit, honestly. And this biography, Wishing on the Moon by Donald Clark, is the best one that I've read. I think it's beautiful. So much. Basically, it's a fearless biography. We get to be up close and personal with Billie, blemishes and all, bruises and all, track marks and all. We're there for every fucking song that she sang, for every fucking boyfriend that hit her. We're there for every time she stuck that needle in her vein, bro. We're there for every moment. We're there for the moment where she changed the world, when she keeps continuing to change the world. Billie Holiday does mean a lot to me. I kind of elevate her in my head to the level of a quasi saint, but I think that she deserves it. The other one, though, is the the autobiography, Lady Sings the Blues by Billie Holiday, but it was actually written by William Dufty. Now, this one is just such a controversial book. The reason why it's on here, though, is because it opens up a whole new conversation about, like, what a memoir even is by definition, by practice. Like what the fuck is a memoir supposed to provide? And it brings to question the validity of memoir as art or memoir as fact. Billie can be quoted as saying that she never read this damn book, or she can also be quoted as saying that she was intimately involved in the creation of this book and everything about it. So it's really up to you what you believe. I just love that even her official memoir is half real, half make believe. It's the Schrodinger's cat of memoirs. It both exists and doesn't exist. It's both true and untrue. I mean, there's so much in here that is verifiably completely untrue. But then you're like, was Billie and William, were they creating the myth? And is the myth then more important than the story? Because the myth is what is epic. The myth is what has endured. I mean, if you read this biography here, you get everything. Like I said, you get the bruises, you get the scars, you get the track marks, you get it all. But I think it is fascinating to read a book that is actively involved, complicit in the process of myth making. But Billie Holiday is such a cool subject. I'll read anything about Billie Holiday. I'll listen to any Billie Holiday song. I'll watch any movie. I'll do anything for some Billie Holiday. Number 5, let's continue talking about music. I consider this a history book. I consider this a history of the punk rock, American punk rock of the late 70s and early 80s within California. It's Lexicon Devil, The Fast Times and Short Life of Darby Crash and the Germs. So, if in my opinion, Billie Holiday is the queen misfit of music, then Darby Crash is the king or the prince misfit of all music as well. Darby Crash has always fascinated me ever since I was a no good, rotten teenage punk.
Damn it, somebody give me a beer. A beer, damn it, a beer. Damn it, one of you give me a beer. Give me a beer, you fucking...
He's always fascinated me. What a fascinating guy. And this is an oral history, too. So we get like a kind of who's who, a rogues gallery of all the most important players within the LA punk scene. And it really paints this vivid portrait of nihilism, of chaos, of youthful self-destruction, of folly, of the folly in the way that only philosophers could truly grasp. I think you get a lot of gravity from a book like this. I loved it. I loved it. Number 4, Public Enemies by Brian Burroughs. Love this book. It covers like the types of Dillinger. It's the crime wave of the 30s. So you get the John Dillinger gang, you get Alvin Karpis and the Barkers, you get Bonnie and Clyde, you get Pretty Boy Floyd, among others. This is such a cool book. And I think it says some like wildly important things about the absurd dilemma. Like, I have a very philosophical nature. So when I engage with history, it's normally to try to learn something philosophically. And I think that this says a lot about the absurd struggle or the absurd dilemma, being a meaningful creature in a meaningless environment, or more horrifyingly, vice versa. And the way that certain men rebel against what is truly absurd. And what's truly absurd can often be defined as the state. So by rebelling so magnificently in such a large way, like that their rebellion was writ large, literally on movie screens and billboards, they became celebrities, criminal celebrities, by rebelling in such a large and magnificent and very cinematic way against the state. They actually made the state more powerful, considering that like organizations like the FBI were strengthened beyond belief because of Dillinger. Rebellious murder spree, crime spree that led directly to the state having more control over future misfits. I see this as a tragic comedy in history form, and I loved it. Alvin Karpis is such a fascinating guy. He's the most fascinating person in that entire book. Read it and tell me what you thought of Alvin Karpis. So interesting. And now we're at the top 3, but what I like to do before the top 3 in all my top 10 videos is remind you that this list is subject to change. I could change it by the time I press stop recording. It could be totally different come tomorrow. So this is not written in stone. I put this list together very quickly. I just hope it offers a pretty good sketch of what I'm interested in historically and why I'm interested in those things. But also, before we do the top 3, I like to do honorable mentions. So starting with a biography of Jean Arthur, the actress nobody knew. Jean Arthur is one of my favorite actresses ever, most known for being in the Capra films, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, as well as You Can't Take It With You. I love her in The Devil and Miss Jones, Easy Living, History is Made at Night. Oh my God, that's so good, and it fits for this video. Jean Arthur, I think, was delightful, a delightful screwball actress, and with a lot of heart. And as a person, she was a fascinating person, dude. Like, she was a ball of nerves. She was incredibly anxious. She was anxiety in human form. She was bottle blonde anxiety, and I loved her so much. I still love her so much. She brings a smile to my face just thinking about her, especially as Clarissa Saunders in Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. She's the true hero of that film. I'm a huge Capra fan, as you can see by my It Happened One Night poster over there. Love that film so much. I love Capra so much, and Jean Arthur is one of the most magical qualities of every Capra masterpiece that she appeared in, including Mr. Deeds Goes to Town. She was incredible there. Love her with her little yo-yo. She's amazing. So yeah, this has to be here. And I used to be a huge cinephile. I did film analysis for years and years on YouTube. So that'll be the only film book on this list, unless you count this one, unless you count Black Dahlia, Red Rose. It's my favorite unsolved crime in American history. I think that Elizabeth Short is a fascinating person, especially the symbol that she's become and all the different meanings of her symbol. Pugh Eatwell wrote this book, and I think that she's the best writer who has tackled the subject by a landslide. I love this book. The crime is fascinating. And another honorable mention is a biography of my favorite composer, Johannes Brahms, a Romantic era composer. Love him so much. And this isn't just a history of Brahms; it's a history of Germany, of Vienna. It's a history of Europe in this time period. It's a history of romantic composition and music. It's really awesome. It's really good. And I want to read this same author also wrote a biography about Mozart, and Mozart's a dude who's always fascinated me. I want to party with Mozart. I wish I could have partied with Mozart based on all the stories I've heard. I don't know if they're apocryphal or not. That'd be something worth checking out. Then the last honorable mention is The Fires of Vesuvius by Mary Beard. I went to Pompeii. At the same time, I went to Florence. I also went to Naples and I went to Pompeii. It's one of the most magical, most incredible, most haunting, disturbing, and beautiful things in the world. It's one of the most beautiful experiences I've ever had in my life. And this is great to read after it or directly before it. But like reading after it, it just it brought all the things that I saw to life in such a vivid way. This book is very meaningful to me. Now we're at the top three. At number three, I love ballet so much. So, number three, Apollo's Angels, A History of Ballet by Jennifer Homans. And dude, this book is so cool. I didn't know any of this shit about ballet. I love the art form so much. I love the elegance, the precision, the desperation, the carefully choreographed yearning, like so much of it. Ballet has made me cry. Live ballet has made me cry before. So reading this book, I felt a lot closer to the art form that strikes me so deeply. It really strikes a chord within me that no other art form truly can. Ballet is such a beautiful thing, and loved learning so much about it from this book. And you can tell that Jennifer also connects to ballet as much as I do, and it's just such a rewarding experience. I love ballet so much, and like through that book, of course, to get a history of an entire art form, and that's so cool to me. It's fucking perfect. It's a perfect history book, actually. At number two, Joan of Arc by herself and her witnesses by Regine Pernaud. Love this so much. So you may not know this, but between the trials of condemnation and reclamation or rehabilitation, 115 people were investigated, were interviewed about Joan of Arc. People she knew from her childhood, from her infancy, all the way up to her death. And including Joan herself was every word she ever said in her interrogations on her trial was recorded. There are 115 different points of view that cohere to make a beautiful idea, a beautiful concept, a beautiful portrait of Joan of Arc, who is this figure who's always fascinated me. What a fascinating 19-year-old misfit. What a fascinating girl, Saint Joan. Like, it shouldn't be real. Like, this should be a fairy tale. It shocks me that Joan of Arc was real, and it inspires me so much. Joan of Arc is like one of the most intriguing and captivating historical figures ever. And this book is so good. Regine Pernaud, I know there are newer biographies about her, but I like this one so much. Regine does use like Joan's own words and the words of her witnesses, her friends, her family, her enemies, her confidants, her fellow knights, her fellow soldiers, to paint the portrait. And then she provides commentary within each and every chapter. And she moved mountains when it came to Joan of Arc within academia, within the pursuit of information concerning Joan of Arc, and to correcting false narratives surrounding Joan as well. What she did was super important, and it's always good to read about Joan of Arc from someone who is actually French and a medievalist and a classical or a medieval archivist, a historian. It's best to read from that kind of voice when it concerns Joan of Arc, at least from my experience. The number two greatest history book of all time, without a fucking doubt. I love it so much. And as a man of faith, I find so much to champion within Joan of Arc. She is my champion in a lot of different ways. The number one best history book of all time, it's ancient Rome. It's Brutus, the noble conspirator. Brutus is, I think, one of the most conflicted characters, one of the most misunderstood figures, and one of the most. I mean, to me, he's one of the most literally me characters I've ever read about in history. I love Brutus so much. Catherine Tempest brings Marcus Brutus to life to the best of her ability with the limited information that's available on him. But it paints such a multifaceted portrait of a man who was torn in a multitude of different directions and compelled to be remembered through all of infinity, through all of eternity, for one of the most fantasized about acts of betrayal ever, one of the most recreated acts of betrayal ever. In fact, it might be easy to view Brutus as history's original sin. I know I'm speaking very stupidly there, but I see a lot of symbolism within Brutus. I love engaging with Brutus. I love engaging with Caesar. I love engaging with Cato. You know, all these different Cicero, all the different characters that surround Brutus, and I see Brutus as this like monumentally important figure who I think just gets more and more important in like our shared experience as people. There's something about Brutus and Caesar both that like permeates still. There's that unending conflict and that unending promise of betrayal. Et tu, et tu. The number one best history book, in my opinion, the one that I was most engrossed with, most obsessed with, and most captivated by, Brutus, the Noble Conspirator by Catherine Tempest. Love it so much. I bought it at the Colosseum in Rome, so it was a pretty good experience. So, yeah, loved it. Well, there you have it. Those are my 10 favorite history books. I hope that you got something from this video that was substantive, and bye for now.